Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a stack of sources detailing a world really defined by divine war, magical communication, journalistic defiance, and some truly profound personal stakes.
It's quite a mix.
It really is. We're talking about a conflict where the battle lines aren't just, trenches and bombs. They're drawn across newspaper pages and through this very secret, delicate channel of written words.
And our focus today centers on two key figures. Iris Winnow, who's this incredibly tenacious journalist working out of, well, the basement of the Incritin Tribune. It sounds a bit dark, but kind of cozy, too.
Right, and her counterpart.
Roman Carver Kitt. He's a correspondent, very talented, but it seems like he's been co-opted. He's writing propaganda now.
And their lives get intertwined.
Completely. By fate, love, dangerous loyalties, and, fascinatingly, these enchanted objects.
Okay, so the mission for you, the listener, is to get a quick handle on this high-stakes war. We really want to zero in on the nature of Dacre's psychological warfare. It's quite sophisticated.
And also how our protagonists fight back. They're using, old school journalism, but also this kind of subversive magic.
From enchanted typewriters to, well, wounds intentionally left by a god. We'll get into all of that.
Yeah, and I think what's immediately striking is the sheer resilience of their communication. You have this huge war tearing everything apart.
Total chaos.
Exactly. Yet their relationship, and maybe more importantly, their ability to share vital intelligence, survives. It survives separation. It survives intentional memory loss, all through this almost mundane kind of magic.
Okay, let's unpack that. The communication mechanism, because conventional methods are obviously out, right? The front lines cut everything off.
Pretty much. But Iris and Roman, they keep up this intense correspondence using these, well, vintage writing tools.
The typewriters.
The typewriters. Iris has her prized first Alouette. She and her friends Addie and Sarah actually had to, steal it back from a museum.
Get out, real.
Yeah. And Roman, he has the third Alouette, which used to belong to someone named DEW. We don't know much about them initially.
Right.
But these aren't just typewriters.
Right, they're magical.
Magically connected. They transmit letters, full letters, instantly over huge distances.
And the delivery. This is the part I find so intriguing. How do the letters actually arrive?
They appear out of the shadows cast by wardrobe doors.
Wardrobe doors, like in their rooms.
It bypasses everything. Armies, trenches, divine interference. It's so low-tech, almost domestic for such high-stakes information.
It feels like something out of a children's story, but it's carrying wartime intelligence. That contrast is powerful.
It really is. And I think the source material uses this magic to kind of underline the subversion of state power. The war tries to physically separate them, control the narrative.
But the typewriters just go around it.
Exactly. And at first, they don't even know who they're writing to. Not really. Iris uses E, or Elizabeth. And Roman signs as R, or sometimes Kitt. He's dealing with amnesia, this memory loss we mentioned, but he feels drawn to her words. He says he's hungry for them.
Wow.
Yeah, eventually he calls her his secret, his armor. Even without memory, there's this deep connection forming.
It's like the ultimate pen pal story, but with life or death stakes.
Yeah.
And it started as office rivalry, didn't it, at the Oath Gazette?
That's right. The very tools they use to compete are now their lifeline. And this lifeline becomes absolutely critical because Roman's situation gets much, much worse.
He gets captured.
He does. Which brings us right to Dacre's main strategy. It's not just about territory, it's about controlling minds. Roman is captured, and then he's healed by Dacre, the god leading the enemy underling forces.
Okay, healed in quotation marks. I sense there's more to it.
Oh, definitely. Dacre's portrayed as this master manipulator. He tells Roman his mind is fragile like spider silk or ice in spring.
Poetic, but sounds like an excuse.
It is. He claims he had to build these mental walls to protect Roman during the healing process, which conveniently explains the amnesia.
Convenient, right. So what's the real story?
The truth, which surfaces later, is much darker. It really shows Dacre's long game. He doesn't just heal his soldiers. He deliberately leaves parts of them broken.
How so? What does that achieve?
He might inflict chronic illnesses or leave specific crucial memory gaps. The goal is to make them feel constantly indebted and beholden to him.
So it's not about complete control like mind wiping. It's about creating dependency.
Exactly. Why just kill someone when you can make them perpetually grateful, perpetually reliant on you for the next fix, the next bit of healing?
Yeah.
Outright death creates martyrs.
Whereas chronic illness, engineered gratitude that creates loyal, broken soldiers who won't defect.
Precisely. It's weaponized dependency, far more insidious than just fear.
That's chilling. So while Roman is grappling with these memory gaps, Dacre puts him to work.
Mm-hmm. Writing propaganda. High-level stuff. We see headlines like, Dacre saves hundreds of wounded in Avalon Bluff.
Ugh. And meanwhile, back home, forces are trying to erase Roman's past in a different way.
Yeah, his father, Mr. Kitt. Turns out he's involved with Dacre, or at least with this militant group called the Graveyard that seems allied with Dacre.
The graveyard. Okay.
Mr. Kitt sends an associate, this guy Bruce, to see Iris. He offers her money, pressures her to annul her marriage to Roman, trying to just wipe that connection clean off the slate.
So the war hits on every level, personal, legal, psychological.
It really does. But luckily for Roman, Dacre's mental walls aren't foolproof. They start to crack.
He starts remembering things.
Little things at first. His sister, Delaney, he keeps thinking about this phantom feeling, like a ring that used to be on his pinky finger.
The wedding ring.
Presumably. And as these fragments return, he also starts piecing together something tactically vital about where he is.
What's that?
He realizes Dacre's realm, this underrealm where the god draws power, isn't totally separate. It connects to the physical world through magical conduits.
Lily lines.
Lily lines. Okay, like magical power grids. Sort of, yeah. And crucially, he figures out these lines run directly beneath his own family's estate, the Kitt estate.
Whoa. Okay, so Dacre's power source is literally linked to Roman's home turf.
Mm-hmm. And this is when Roman really uses the third Alloite, the typewriter. He starts leaking critical intelligence to Iris.
What kind of intel?
Dacre's plan. He's going to repair these Dacre lines and use them, along with these beings called Ithrals, to launch a massive attack on a place called Hawkshare.
So Roman becomes a spy using the magic typewriter.
Pretty much.
Right.
And this is the turning point for Iris. She goes from just reporting on the war
to actively intervening in it.
Exactly. Which leads to this next phase of real journalistic defiance, but also immense personal cost.
Right. So Iris gets this coded warning from Roman about Hawkshire, the Ithrals, the alien lines. What does she do?
She doesn't hesitate. She and Addie, that's her friend, the colleague who secretly plays the violin, which is outlawed, by the way.
Another small act of defiance. They drive straight towards the war front. They need to get this information to the right people. They head to a place called Riverdown.
To meet contacts.
Yeah. Marisol and her sister Lucy. They get more intelligence there, confirmation about troop movements, specifically Enva's forces retreating. And crucially, they manage to get Roman's letter, the warning, to Brigadier Keegan Torres.
And Torres is...
Marisol's wife, a high-ranking officer, so the warning gets through.
And it works. The attack is foiled.
It seems so, or at least significantly disrupted. Torres is warned, the forces redeploy. Dacre's immediate plan for Hawkshire is thwarted. But Dacre, though he doesn't take that lightly.
He retaliates.
Big time. With a massive deception, he gets the Chancellor, this figure named Verlace, to host a major press conference in the Green Quarter of Oath. All eyes are on that.
A distraction.
A huge one. Because while everyone's focused on the press conference, Dacre is secretly planning a devastating bombing attack on the southern side of the city. Information warfare combined with brute force. Okay, so Iris has to counter this. How can a journalist fight a bombing campaign?
With information again. It's extraordinary. Dacre demands his speech from the press conference be printed front page in the Incridin Tribune. He wants that platform.
And Iris has to comply.
She's forced to. She prints the speech, gives Dacre exactly what he seemingly wants. But beneath his headline, she does something incredibly clever and defiant.
What? What does she print?
She has another headline. These addresses are known or suspected to be rooted on magical ley lines. And under that, a list, a discrete list of addresses.
Addresses of what?
Buildings known or believed to be built right on top of those strong magical ley lines. Buildings that might actually withstand the coming bombing. Safe houses, essentially.
She used Dacre's own propaganda space to publish evacuation coordinates, basically.
Pretty much. Weaponizing the classified section almost. Using the enemy's demand against him to save lives. It's journalistic jujitsu.
That is brilliant, but the bombing still happens.
Yes. And despite her efforts, the tragedy is immense. Iris suffers horrific personal losses.
Who?
Her older brother, Forrest. He's killed in the bombing. And her close friend, Sarah Prindle.
Oh no, Forrest. Wasn't he one of the soldiers Dacre had healed previously?
He was. And this is where the full, sickening truth of Dacre's healing comes out later. Roman learns it.
What is it?
The shrapnel, the bullet fragments Dacre supposedly removed when he healed Forrest earlier. He didn't remove all of them. He intentionally left some inside Forrest's body.
Intentionally? Why?
To make him chronically ill. To ensure a slow decline. Forrest wasn't just a casualty of the bombing. Dacre had already marked him, turned his own body against him long before.
So Dacre's healing was a delayed death sentence.
Essentially, yes. Or at least a guarantee of suffering independency. It highlights that awful contrast again. The sudden violent horror of the bombing versus Dacre's slow, insidious psychological destruction.
God, that's incredibly dark. But even after all that loss, the story moves towards some kind of resolution.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's heavy, you know. After the bombing chaos, Roman gets captured again. Not by the official army this time, but by that militant group, the Graveyard.
The ones allied with Dacre, or working with his father.
It seems connected, yeah. And they don't plan on taking prisoners. They put Roman straight in front of a firing squad.
Execution.
Immediate execution. It looks like the end. But Iris? She gets there.
How does she stop a firing squad?
With a letter. His own letter. The old, intimate one where he'd written, "Burn my words."
The love letter. How does that stop an execution?
Because it wasn't just a love letter. Mixed in with the personal stuff was coded intelligence. References to Dacre's plans, things that proved Roman wasn't loyal to Dacre. It showed he was acting as a mole.
So the letter was proof of his treason against Dacre.
Exactly. Irrefutable proof, apparently, enough to make the Graveyard pause. It proved he was working against their supposed ally. His intimate words became his legal defense.
Wow. Okay. So he's saved. But the war takes its toll physically, right?
Definitely. He survives, but he's medically evaluated. Severe scar tissue on his lungs from gas exposure during the fighting. It puts a huge strain on his heart. The doctors say it could be, well, fatal down the line.
So even in survival, there's this shadow, this permanent damage.
The war leaves its mark, always. And while Iris and Roman grapple with this, the divine part of the conflict also shifts.
So what happens with the gods?
Iris goes back to that museum, the one where she retrieved the typewriter, and she meets the Night Guard again.
And
The Night Guard reveals she's actually Enva, Dacre's wife.
whoa, okay. What does Enva tell her?
A couple of huge things. First, she explains she was the one who took the powers from the other gods, not to hoard them, but to stop Dacre from harvesting them himself.
Ah, a protective measure against Dacre.
Exactly. And second, she connects back to Addie's violin playing. Remember the outlawed instrument in the secret song?
Yeah, Elzane's lullaby.
Enva reveals that lullaby wasn't just a song. It was ancient magic, specifically created to sing the gods themselves to sleep, to end their interference.
So Addie's quiet little rebellion was actually tapping into this god-level magic meant to bring peace.
That seems to be the implication. It connects the small, personal act of resistance to the grand cosmic struggle. It's a beautiful touch.
Absolutely. And what happens to Enva and Dacre?
Dacre is apparently defeated, or at least contained. Enva then uses a key she possesses to the Underrealm. By doing so, she breaks this ancient vow she made to King Elzane, and now he can travel freely below oath. The divine landscape is fundamentally changed. Gods are sleeping, hiding, or gone.
And Iris and Roman, what's their future?
They survive. Despite Roman's health issues, despite the terrible loss of Forrest, they find a way. They move to a new house near a river. They continue writing. It's not a perfect fairy tale ending, but it's one of resilience, adaptation.
Finding a way to live with the scars.
Precisely. And looking back at it all, what really stands out is that contrast. You have the huge, showy magic of the gods bombing cities, messing with minds, stealing power.
Big, destructive forces.
Right. And then you have the quiet, almost invisible magic of mortals. A written word crossing a continent through a wardrobe. A secret list of addresses saving lives. The sheer stubbornness of holding on to memory when a god tries to take it.
It really feels like, in the end, Dacre's incredibly sophisticated psychological games, his whole strategy of manufactured loyalty and chronic illness, it was ultimately undone by a journalist figuring out how to embed truth in plain sight and a correspondent whose most personal letters became his shield.
Yeah. The biggest battles weren't just on the front lines. They were fought in the layout of the ink-ridden Tribune and in those desperate secret notes.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener, from all this?
I think it really poses a crucial question, doesn't it? When information itself becomes the battlefield, when memory is a weapon, what holds more real power in the long run? Is it the guy who can literally control what you remember?
Or is it the person, the individual, who dares to write down the truth, and maybe more importantly, dares to believe it, even when everything tells them not to?